بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. اللهم نسألك خير التوكل عليك، حسن التوكل عليك، ودوام السعي إلى رضاك. جنبنا وساوس الشيطان وقنا شر الإنس والجان، وهب لنا حقيقة الإيمان وارزقنا الخير الحلال. أما بعد, our beloved community, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Before I start, I want to congratulate the whole community 42 Hijri. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll have this, the first day. When I say to the Muslim Ummah, hopefully, inshallah, may Allah make grant victory to the Muslim and Islam in this coming year, inshallah. May Allah unite the Muslim heart. May Allah bless our year. May Allah make our year success at the level of the individual. I want to resume my lecture about the legacy of Islamic civilization. Last week, I want to summarize what I have done last week is that I came to the slide where I described the Islamic civilization that is the civilization that make the mind and the heart speak together. Version the other civilization, they make the mind and the material life speak together. So we have three layers of product of civilization. The layer where the products are version of first layer of the spirituality, and second layer is the mind and the science, and third layer of things and materialism. So the Islamic civilization is known as most of the connection is between the mind and the spiritual, the science and the connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other civilization are a connection between the mind and the material life. So that's why we hear about religion versus secularism. So in Islam, we don't have this categorizing between the hereafter and the life that we live in. So what is the pros and cons of putting the spirituality on the side in our thinking and in our delivering and in our daily life? That's where the difference is between the Islam and Islamic civilization versus the other civilization. So by saying this, we are not saying that the other religion, they don't have the spirituality. Yes, they have, but the antagonist of the religious thinking, they took over a long time, and they create a secular where they separate between the life of hereafter and the life of the world. So if we have this in mind, that Islamic civilization was ethical civilization, was a civilization where people and governor and scholars, they think to make the connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to establish ruling or in order to decide in their affairs, daily affairs, family affairs, city affairs, anything. So before that, they first check if the Sharia allow us to do that or not. So that's the connection. After that, the world lost this connection where they're asking if Allah is happy with us or not. So the role of this lecture is to bring that mind in life and to rebuild the Muslim mind, to start thinking first about putting Allah first in his thinking and in his a'mal and in his connection and interaction with the world around and with the universe around. So that's why we come to this three categorization: the spiritual, the mind, and the things. Now I'm going to move to another version of where the Islamic civilization is taking a lead, is where the Islamic civilization focus on the inner, not on the outer. So if we see the world since a long time uh, start making the outer more than the inner, that's why you see all the economy is moving to how you look and how the other people look at you. So the Islamic civilization is, and the Islam always uh, push for the inner version, the outer. So when Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he was the governor of the Muslim, and uh, at, people they come around and they find him sleeping under the tree, the shade of the tree. They told him, "عدلت فآمنت, عدلت فآمنت فاسترحت." It means that they told him that you made justice. That's why you don't need even security around you. You just slept under the shade of the tree because of your justice, not because you don't have it. So the question is that, like there is a saying that says, كان لنا عدل بدون دار عدل وأصبحت لنا دار عدل بدون عدل. The meaning of that is that we used to have a justice without having a huge building of house of justice, and now we have house of justice without justice. That's where the Muslim world, unfortunately, this is the description of nowadays Muslim world, that we have house of justice, but we don't have justice. Or if you want to say the whole world, is also this description can. So why we are saying outer version, inner, and what is the reason behind that is that I want to read these verses of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the Sahaba. He never described them by their outer, how they look, how they tall, how many whatever they have. Comparison between the Sahaba or between the Rasul sallam. The main rule is الرسول قال لا فرق بين عربي وأعجمي إلا بالتقوى. There is no difference between Muslim and Arab or not Arab and white or black except with how much he achieved of taqwa and connection and ikhlas to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the last verses of Surah Al-Fath describing Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam by his quality. Rasulullah والذين آمنوا والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا. So Muhammad Rasulullah والذين معه, they are strong in the faith. رحماء, they are merciful to each other. تراهم, you will see them ركعا سجدا, making ruku' and making sujood, which is that summarize they are praying. يبتغون فضلا من الله, they seek forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ورضوانا سيماهم في وجوههم, you see their traces in their faces. So ذلك في وجوههم من أثر السجود ذلك مثلهم في التوراة ومثلهم في الإنجيل. This is their example in the Torah. And what about their example in Injil is كزرع أخرج شطأه فآزره فاستغلظ فاستوى. It's like a plant that becomes strong and it gives plenty of fruit. فاستوى يعجب الزراع. Everybody, when he sees that plant, the product of that plant, he will be a really amazing product. So وعد الله الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات منهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم. So the description here, nothing about the outer of the Sahaba or the outer of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's everything about their quality, the inner quality that are seen as quality, as behavior in their daily life, and how they interact with each other, how they interact with the other, and how they interact with the surrounding world. Like, and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Al-mu'minu kan-nahla, يأكل طيبا ويخرج طيبا." Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he described the mu'min. That's the quality of a mu'min, that he's like a bee. It eats only good and it gives only good. It is from the nectar going around the going around and collecting the nectars from the flowers, and that's the best thing to do. And in the same time, it gives the asal, which is the best product that the human can use it for their own good. The asal, the honey. So that's the description of a Muslim. So we have to rebuild the character of the Muslim based on this. That's where we have to a product. Our product in the future, inshallah, the science, the product is to benefit, is to eat the good, to collect the good from the Quran and the Sunnah, and to produce the good to the surrounding community, to the Muslim community, and to the surrounding community, in order to be beneficial for ourselves and beneficial to every human being around us. Once we reach that level, we will be appreciated by others, and they will try to imitate our role model, and in that we can raise our hand and we say, Alhamdulillah, we achieved something that the Muslim and the non-Muslim can take us as a lead and can achieve something down the road. I want to explain, Muhammadun is the messenger of Allah, and those with him are forceful against the disbelievers, merciful among themselves. You see them prostrating in prayer, seeking bounty from Allah and His pleasure, and in their mark in their faces, the trace of the prostration. That is their description in the Torah, and their description in the Gospel is as a plant which produces its offshoots and strengthen them so they grow firm and upon their sulks, delighting the sowers. So Allah may rate them for the disbelievers. So Amil Salihat, yeah. So that's the meaning of the inner version, the outer. So in a way or another, we have to give in our life mostly about the inner, to build strength from the inside that will be seen in the outside. So let me, let me share. Let me share this. I'm sharing this with brothers and sisters who are in the Zoom. Hopefully you are getting it. So let me go to the slide. Where am I right now? So let's move to the next. So after focusing on the inner version, the outer, so what was good about the Islamic civilization is that great philosophers who influenced and reached far wide, and whose work are still being read today. So today, after the previous 4 to 5 lectures, it was about the description of the civilization, the connection to the history, what the Quran, what was the Quran connection of the scientists, and now we are going to move to who are these great philosophers and scientists that they impacted the world at the time of the Middle Age, where Europe, it was in the dark time. So what was done by these Muslim scholars and scientists that attracted the people around them. So today I want to move to these two philosophers and scientists, which is Al-Kindi and Ibn Rushd. and inshallah we'll move with the next Ibn al-Haytham in the next session, inshallah. And so let's start with Al-Kindi. Al-Kindi was a 9th century philosopher, astronomer, physicist, and somebody, a poet. He was born in Iraq to a rich family. His father was the governor of Kufa, and so was his grandfather before him too. So in a way or another, he grew up in a family, well-done family around. Al-Kindi left his hometown for Baghdad. So he left from Kufa to Baghdad at a young age to study philosophy and science. So somebody can say that, where is the study of the Quran? So the study of the Quran in the Muslim world and the Arab world is done even before the age of 10. From 5 to 10, most of these scientists and scholars, they already memorized the Quran. So if he left to study for philosophy and science, it means that the study of the Quran is already done. So he also studied theology and helped shape his very particular reading of Greek philosophy. So he's somebody who was born and raised in the Muslim environment where you don't even to question that did they read the Quran or not. That's their daily life. So Al-Kindi was a very prolific writer. He's a writer, and his writing covered several areas of knowledge like philosophy, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and physics. A thing that made historians and scientists classify his many treatises, 238 according to Ibn Nadim, by subject. So they sorted them by subject, all these products of Al-Kindi. So Al-Kindi did Al-Kindi, all his study, he was kind of trying to reconcile between the brain, the mind, and the spiritual, where we have to use our mind to explain, and where we have to further go to our brain and use the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ, use your mind, use your intellect in order to understand the world around you. The Islamic faith and the rationalism of philosophy. So since he already studied the Greek philosophy where there is no connection to the religious, to the connection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most of the questions are philosophic. So the Islam comes to the question of philosophers, so why we are here, where are we going, what's going to happen after we go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after death. So Al-Kindi, since he grew up in Islamic faith, so he has the answer for that. And all his study for the Greek is to know their question in order to answer their question. So what is the role of the heart in this, if it's a philosophical question, what is the role of the mind, and what is the interaction between this, the mind, and the heart? So Al-Kindi, he sees that there is no contradiction between understanding the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the world by raising this question of the science and the philosophy, and in the same time obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala religiously wise, obeying his master and his governing of this world. While the others, Greek civilization, they were questioning this question before. With his religious background, Al-Kindi belonged to the ruling class. So we already know that he belonged to a governor, and the governor in the Arab world, and at the time of that, it's mostly surrounded by scholars, and these scholars mostly they teach the kids of the governors. They teach them Quran, they teach them Usul al-Din, they teach them Sunnah, they teach them Hadith. So he grew in that environment where he grabbed the Islamic knowledge at the early age, allowed him to be part of the intellectual debate taking place in the Caliph place. Most of it was also at that time the Khalifa. He called the scholars, and they create the mashura, and they create some debatable something to debate about. That's a question they are raised at that time by the philosopher or the scientist or by the different scholars and different madhab. So he grew in that kind of debate. That's why he also enriched his intellectual mind, like we say nowadays. He worked for Al-Ma'mun, House of Wisdom. You know that Al-Ma'mun, he created the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. That's well-known kind of big, huge library where people grab the knowledge and from different books. And so he grew up and he worked in that House of Wisdom and was the courtier with a remarkable contribution in various fields. He produced more than 200 works, and among his major writings are the Book of the Judgment of the Stars, the Treatise on the Judgment of Eclipse, Treatise of Dominion of the Arabs and its Duration, and the Choices of Days. These are his books and his legacy that he left to the Muslim world. So let's move to the next. I think I have only 10 minutes to finish. I will move to Ibn Rushd. I'll give you a brief description of Ibn Rushd, and then inshallah we'll finish. Ibn Rushd, no less than famous and influential, he's a great Ibn Rushd, or Averroes, as the title that the Western civilization gave it to him. And by the way, so the Western civilization, or the people who give this title, in one way, they knew that this Muslim philosopher and Muslim scientist and Muslim scholar, they did a huge contribution to the Muslim and to the world and to the Western nowadays world. In another side, they don't want people to have this connotation of them by saying Ibn Rushd, because when you say Ibn Rushd, your mind will go to Arabs. So they gave this subtitle Averroes, so in a way or another to hide the real name, and in order to send a message to the world that Arabs didn't do any contribution. So unless you go deep down and read their books, then you'll figure out. So Ibn Rushd was a 12th century philosopher from Cordoba. So you know Cordoba is in Andalus, is the peak of the Islamic civilization. He is in many ways the most daring philosopher at the Islamic Middle Period. So his ideas of free thinking and liberation from religious orthodoxy had great influence on many Jewish and Christian thinkers, such as Maimonides and Thomas Aquinas. So even at that time, the other philosophers, they were really amazed by his high level of thinking and his high level of question. And Ibn Rushd is the one who engaged the Muslim in thinking about the layer of the mind where we used to have like some kind of extreme Sufi where they engage in some and they're saying that a Muslim, he should just listen and obey. He should not use his mind. That's true, but that's not fully true, because there are some area where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is himself is asking us to use our mind. And there is something that when it's related to the Iman, yes, you don't have to use your mind and your logic. But when it is related to the Sharia, related to the affairs of the Muslim, yes, you have to use your, and you don't let others just think and you grab what they are thinking. So in a way or another, some of the extreme Sufi, they tell you that المسلم المسلم عند شيخه كالميت عند غاسله. The Muslim or the student in front of his master, which is the one who's teaching him Islam, he should be like dead body in front of the one who's washing him. In a way or another, all your mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to you, put it on the side, just get the knowledge. That's not true. Muslim also have to rethink about how to create a critical thinking in the student and engage them in asking questions at every level. And the master or the teacher, he should be at the level where he can engage them in this critical thinking and help them getting the right answer. So he was consequently banished to Morocco, where he devoted his entire time to reading more work of classical philosophy, as well as developing particular critical perspective for them. So in a way or another, he clashed with some scholar at his time that telling him that you went too far in explaining things by your mind. So you have to go back and just, there are something that you should not let your brain question this question. So while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his verse he said, إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. This is the ulama, they explain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us if by your question, by your ilm, you can go and penetrate the universe, أقطار السماوات, all the samawat. So لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. The sultan here is the knowledge and the ilm. Among the important topics approached by Ibn Rushd was the question of conciliation between Sharia and philosophy. So Ibn Rushd, he was questioning how to reconcile between the Sharia and the philosophy, which means the philosophy here, it takes the term philosophy, but it means that the mind, the scientific mind. And these questions are until nowadays. So, and even if you go back at the time of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, Umar ibn Khattab, he already fixed this problem. So at the time of the hunger, when there is a huge hunger that afflicted the Muslim, he stopped the cutting of the hand of the one who steals. Because he said, if we are not able to provide food for people, how come we are going to punish them for grabbing food from left and right? So that's the question. So the question is not you are freezing the Sharia, you are fixing a problem. Because Islam itself, it comes as a solution to the world, spiritual solution to the world. Islam, it comes a mercy to the world. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. So at the end Ibn Rushd was questioning this question of nowadays, and at that time he was ahead of nowadays question, where he brought this question to the debate, how to reconcile between this if people are asking this question. He was very much concerned with the topic of many reasons, including the fact he was a religious philosopher. He endured and demonstrated the harmony between the religion and the philosophy. So at the end, he came to the conclusion that there is no conflict, there is no clash between using the mind and obeying the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Sharia. So while some people, they see that as either this or this. If you are with the mind and you are secular. If you are with the Sharia, with the Sharia law, as explained by the scholar at that time, you are with the religious side. So Islam itself, it reconciles between two. And Ibn Rushd, by his endeavor, by his writing, by his research, he proved that. The concern emerged after the Imam al-Ghazali feared his attack on philosophy. So all of us, we know the history of Imam al-Ghazali, where he put his book, Tahafut al-Falasifa, which is a philosopher in his book, Incoherence of the Philosopher. So Imam al-Ghazali, he came to a conclusion that First of all, he lists all the question of the philosopher, and then he answered them. Then Ibn Rushd, he was in between, in the middle of the debate, where he himself he conflicted with Al-Ghazali conclusion, and then he come where he argued that philosophy has led many people to atheism and blasphemy. I think that if we give freedom, critical thinking to the student, they might start questioning who's Allah, or what is the religion, what is all this stuff. So, and out of protection-wise, protection at Saddu Dara'i, which is Saddu Dara'i, this is one of the usul ad-din, that we have to make limit of the question so our student and our people will not become atheist or become against Islam or against Islam is protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as much as people have knowledge and have critical thinking, they will come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So no need to put this barrier of people to ask question, because Islam and Quran already raised this question and already answered this question about the atheism, about anything. So Muslims should not be afraid that they have the answer, and the Quran has the answer of anybody who question anything that is that people think that this out of question. So Islam is raise any question and you'll get the right answer. So inshallah, I will also summarize Ibn Rushd, and in the next session, inshallah, the session is over. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.